Alright guys, how are you? I tried to film a video today that was a makeup look and it did not go well, so I'm not gonna post that one. I tried to fix the makeup. I think it looks better now. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna make just a whole different video for today. I don't know what I'm gonna title this. This is just gonna be sort of like a random ramble. But I have a topic that I was inspired to talk about from Reddit. So I'm just going to talk about a couple things. I'm not really going to read people's posts out loud to you guys just because it's not really the same as a subreddit like Am I the Asshole or like Ask Reddit or something, which are like very, very popular subreddits that get talked about a lot. This is just like, even though everything on the internet is public, it feels weird to just like read random people's posts with like a few upvotes. So I'm gonna like kind of summarize them and then just kind of like talk about stuff. So I don't know. I don't really know how to handle these things. I'm a small YouTuber anyway. I mean, it really doesn't matter what I do, but just in case, I don't know. This person made a post. It's called I hate the fetishize I can't speak properly. It's called I hate the fetishization of goths. And this is about how they hate men who want a goth GF, as they call it, and they hate girls that play into this, and they think it's making the community an overall unsafe place. This sparked my attention because I feel like the goth GF thing in the last like few years, I feel like I've been hearing that term on the internet everywhere. It seems like out of nowhere it was a popular thing to want a goth GF. A couple comments here, I'll summarize. Someone says they know a conservative frat boy who does this, and someone says all these men want a goth GF until they realize they have interests that they don't actually care about. My theory on this is that this goth GF that's become popularized isn't actually a goth girl. It's like sort of this TikTok e-girl as far as looks go. And then, in fact, I was about to say like in terms of music, but I think it is mostly about looks. It's like they want a girl who looks like, I'll put pictures, because what an actual goth girl is just a girl who listens to goth music. And someone else pointed out that this isn't unique to goth because you can find gross men anywhere. But I do think that's true, but I think it's interesting to talk about how the goth GF has become popularized in recent years on the internet, especially. And on the other end of the spectrum, there is another post on this subreddit that says, by being attracted to goth girls, am I fetishizing them? And this person just talks about how they find the aesthetic of goth attractive. They also assume that a goth girl would have like similar values to them, and they recognize that these girls are individuals, but they admit that they are attracted to goth girls specifically. And the responses on this were kind of split. Some people said that is fetishization, and some people said it isn't. I think wanting someone of a certain subculture to date isn't necessarily problematic, especially if you are also of that subculture and you're just looking for someone with similar interests. But I also think that if you're not part of that subculture, there is something to be careful about there, because if you might have this idea of a goth GF based on pictures you've seen on the internet, or maybe an influencer that really plays into like a goth stereotype. In general, I kind of lean towards this not being fetishization just because you're attracted to someone who may dress with a certain vibe or look. It's important to point out that, as I keep seeing on this subreddit stated over and over again, that goth is a music-based culture, and someone could be goth and be wearing like a button down and slacks, you know what I mean? What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's wrong to be attracted to someone of a certain Subculture. Do you think it's wrong to have a type like that? And where do you think the line is between like problematic and totally normal attraction? Okay, my next topic is under r/tattoo advice, and it's of a tattoo artist asking if they should give a serial killer tattoo. So I think this is interesting because it's not about if they should get one, it's going to be on someone else. But if they want any part in actually putting this tattoo on someone, I think that's an interesting moral dilemma. Also, is this an alternative topic? I don't know. I kind of assume that everyone who's like really into tattoos or heavily tattooed is alternative, but then I'll see someone who's heavily tattooed talk about how their favorite music is like Lorde or Lana Del Rey or something, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with those artists, obviously, but I don't know why I make that assumption about tattooed people and alternative music. For the sake of this video, let's just say that tattoo problems count as alternative people problems. So basically this artist says that their client says that this serial killer tattoo has personal meaning to them and is, I guess, their way of coping with personal trauma. They don't know how to feel about that exactly. Me personally, I don't think I would want anything to do with putting a serial killer tattoo on someone's body. The client isn't coming out and saying, I just love serial killers. I just think they're sick and I just want one on me. They're saying it has personal meaning. And it's not my place to tell someone how to cope with their own issues and their own trauma and all that. Personally, if I was this artist, I would cancel the appointment because I would be uncomfortable putting a serial killer tattoo on someone. One of the comments says, I don't think the victims' families would sympathize with you coping with your trauma by putting a serial killer on you, which I think is like right on the nose with how I feel. I know that there are some people in this world who walk around with serial killer tattoos. That's definitely a thing. And I find that interesting. I'm curious if they're just like so detached from it. They just love true crime and consume it all the time and think that and almost see it as like fiction in a weird way. How could you get a serial killer's face tattooed on you knowing that there's like someone out there who lost their daughter because of that person? Okay, back to r/goth. Somebody made a post about how they can't go in public without being harassed just because they dress goth. And everyone in the comments is sharing their stories about people making fun of them or talking to them out of pocket. I can relate to this, even though I don't consider myself goth because I don't really listen to goth music. Just being alternative in general attracts a lot of stares. I remember one of the first times I started experimenting with alternative style, I didn't even do anything that crazy. I was like in a black tank top and black shorts. Maybe I can't remember if I had like a red and black tank top layered or something like that, but I was just in kind of a basic outfit and black lipstick I remember I was wearing. It was around Halloween time. I remember a friend of a friend who I didn't know that well, said to me when he saw me, "Are you dressed up for Halloween or are you going through a phase right now?" Which is like, bro, just let people live. I wasn't even doing anything that out there. Just like wearing kind of dark clothes and dark makeup. I'm sorry, but how boring are people that that's weird to them? You know how like, okay, I think that how you get treated if you're dressed goth or alternative definitely depends on where you are, because some cities and towns are like nobody's dressed like that, and then there are some cities that are considered weird, like everyone's a weird here, which by the way, I feel like when a city or town is considered weird, all that means is that there are like different types of people and like different ways people express themselves. It's like not even weird, it's just that not everyone's wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Honestly, no city or town is weird enough. You know what I mean? Is there anywhere where everyone is dressed like... I want to be somewhere where everyone is dressed like it's a video game and they're dressing up their avatar. I guess you could argue people don't do that because it takes way more effort. I mean, honestly, I go out dressed basic all the time just because I'm lazy. If I had the energy, I would dress up like super alternative every single day, but I just don't. What am I even talking about anymore? Okay, there's one more post that I want to talk about, and it does have to do with like the aesthetic versus the music of goth. I've kind of talked about that enough. I don't really need to cover that anymore. This person was just saying they encountered an influencer who basically brands themselves as goth, and that influencer didn't have any goth music attached to their like profile or anything anywhere. It was all like just other music. And this upset them because they're tired of people not realizing that goth is a music based subculture. Somebody said, I can't find the comment right now, but somebody said it's like calling yourself a metalhead if you don't listen to metal, which I think is a very interesting comparison. It's almost like this term goth got so popularized that everybody associates it with fashion and being dark and spooky Halloween, all that stuff. Like, I feel like if you showed an alternative person to my boomer parents, they would call them goth. Even people my age who aren't in any alternative subcultures would call someone alternative goth. Like, I've even been called goth, and I don't identify with that at all because I don't listen to the music. It's somehow become the most popularized form of alternative, if that makes sense. And that even leads me to browse subreddits like r/goth. Like, what am I doing in this subreddit if I'm not goth? There isn't really any other subreddit like that. There's not one for alternative people in general. There is an r/alternative, but it's just people posting music. There's an r/alternative rock, which is just music. There's r/alternative fashion, which is just for fashion, which is all totally fine and good. But there's not really any place for like alternative people in general to talk about problems like this other than the goth subreddit. There is a subreddit for punk, and I know that punk is also like a separate community. That being said, I would feel weird, even though I do listen to some punk music. I would find it weird to like go around calling myself a punk. It just doesn't have, I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't have the same feeling as a goth. I would feel cringe calling myself punk. Like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm punk. Are you punk? It sounds like something that like MGK would say. I don't know, you guys. I know there are other subcultures besides goth, you guys. I just feel like sometimes it feels like that's the main alternative subculture. The biggest one and the most well-known one. Even though probably most people don't know what goth truly is. Like, I wonder if you asked anyone who has used the word goth if they could name like a couple goth bands. I wonder if they could. The spider on the fucking ceiling. Okay, I've rambled for way too long at this point. I don't know if I said anything that made any sense in this video, but I'm gonna try to edit it so that I don't sound insane. Okay, there's a spider on my ceiling. I'm gonna have to do something about it before it leaves. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.